Hello and welcome to GPA Trading Services Master Trader Program webinar. We are so pleased you all could join us today. Thank you so much. Let me formally introduce myself to you. I am Trish N. Albrecht. I will serve as your co-host for today's festivities, and I'm also the co-founder of GPA Trading Services. GPA Trading Services is an education-based firm, trading education-based firm, and our area of expertise and forte is creating truly one-of-a-kind custom software. So, with that in mind, today's objective is to hopefully open your mind and broaden your horizons to new trading opportunities. Now, for those of you that have not had an opportunity to visit our website, we invite you to do so at your leisure at gpatrading.com, and we took this screenshot for those of you that have not had an opportunity just to get a glimpse of our website, and then we invite you to go click on over sometime and peruse, and you can read more information about us and see photos, etc. And also thought you might like to have a little bit of insight on Gary and I. We are travel enthusiasts. We love to travel and have exciting new adventures. And recently we spent a month on the gorgeous and marvelous island of Maui, Hawaii. And this is us out enjoying one of the beautiful sunsets. As you know, Hawaii is known for their spectacular scenery and sunsets. And so here we are out enjoying the beautiful surroundings. And next we want to introduce you to our gorgeous girls. These are our gorgeous girls, Fancy and Felicity Albrecht. And they also serve as our GPA Trading Services mascots. And we're very, very proud of our girls. So we love to show them off to new audiences. They're very well known and beloved by our members. And we always like to share updates with everyone on them. Now, let's move on to today's topic. Today's topic is supercharge your trading results by anticipating future market conditions utilizing the MPA PE2 software, which we're very excited to show you today. Also, Gary and I are very firm believers in mantras and positive mindsets and things for you to focus on. So this is a wonderful mantra that we've selected, and we love to share when we do these webinars to a new audience. This is something we stand firmly behind, and so let me read this and then I'm going to repeat it. Learning is not attained by chance. It must be sought for with ardor and attended to with diligence. And I'm going to repeat that. Learning is not attained by chance. It must be sought for with ardor and attended to with diligence. And that is by Abigail Adams. Before I turn it over to Gary, our guru, let me read and give you some of Gary's background. In Gary's former life, he was a top expert on pharmaceutical and medical education. He's presented to some of the highest rated thought leader physicians in the world and explained super complex medical protocols. Gary then turned this amazing gift of explaining complex ideas and activities to trading education. Gary refers to this as his true calling. Absolutely. And he never looked back. Gary's been a professional trader for the past 20 years. He has devoted his time and attention to educating students around the world for over a decade. Gary has conducted numerous live events along with a platinum membership program, as well as private mentoring to his dedicated students. Gary is also the creator of truly one-of-a-kind custom software. He has the rare talent of translating his trading methodologies into cutting-edge trading software in order to complement any style trader in any financial market. He is absolutely passionate about providing his students with an unparalleled trading software and trading education. His primary goal is to make sure everyone who uses his system and follows his suggested rules does not fail in trading. Now, on to our disclaimer. We must go over a disclaimer prior to conducting today's event. This is a standard disclaimer for your review, and I also have some highlights I'd like to read to you. Trading is not suitable for all people. Some markets are leveraged, and therefore it is possible to lose money deposited for a position. A person should use funds they can afford to lose and that fits within their overall financial plan as developed by a qualified financial planner. Never risk more than 2% of your entire account balance on any one given trade. Options traders never risk more than 5% of your entire account balance on any one given options trade. Always adhere to strict and proper money management rules. That is critical. All information in this presentation is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as investment advice, nor as a recommendation or endorsement to buy or sell any specific investment. Trade at your own risk. I have covered my portion for the moment. I'm going to come back on later and talk more with you. But now I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Gary, and he will go through the presentation and go over the software and everything with you. So I ask that you please sit back, relax, and enjoy this presentation. Okay, guys? Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. As my wife introduced, I'm Gary R. Albrecht, the founder and CEO of GPA Trading Services. I'm also the creator of the Market Price Anticipator Premium Edition 2 software. I'm the educator and instructor. Now, I'm really excited about this opportunity this afternoon, and I'm honored to be presenting to you today. As with that in mind, I thought it would be nice to just dispense with a lot more of the traditional intro slides so we can get to the fun stuff, which is learning to properly analyze and trade the markets. I mean, really, what could be better? As I must admit, I'm truly dedicated and passionate about teaching and providing traders with a solid education in order to successfully maneuver the markets. I am, however, limited a bit on time today, so we'll cover just a mere smidgen of the actual wealth of information I endearly impart to my students during our live trading classes. In my classes, I like to leave no stone unturned, and I cover it all. So let's begin. As my wife said, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Here it comes. Some key components when anticipating future market conditions include support and resistance. This is probably a lot of redundancy for many of you, and if not, then you will get to why this software is so unique and why all of these components are imperative to your success. So first is support and resistance. Next, it's important we know the trend direction. What direction is the trend? Is it up? Is it down? Is it sideways? Or how strong is that current trend? You must utilize multiple time frames. That's the key to getting into strong trends and maintaining long-term trends by utilizing multiple time frames. And the caveat is understanding how the lower time frames cycle within the larger time frames, as we've referred to it as the line of progression. You'll hear me mention the line of progression several times today. And basically the line of progression is the result of cycling time frames. Well, where the software is really going to amaze everyone is as it cycles, it creates very specific entries and exits and very specific signs and symptoms due to the cycling of the time frames. So let's first look at the key component of support and resistance. Here's a screenshot of a euro-dollar chart showing that this software will automatically calculate support and resistance regardless of the market. So whether I'm trading stocks, futures, commodities, forex, gold, silver, any symbol, it's going to automatically calculate my support and resistance levels. So you don't have to think, well, where is support, where is resistance? It automatically calculates that for you. Whether I'm on any time frame, so we'll notice here's some support and resistance levels here, where it was former resistance, turned support, held as resistance, back to support, then it went on in its trend continuation. And again, you could see several areas of support and resistance along the way. Here was an area that was initially resistance, turned back to support as it climbed higher. And of course, most recently, these areas toward the top are representing some resistance levels, and we're just about to reach that again. Watch how price reacts to these important levels. Next up, whether I'm looking at a daily chart, a 1 hour chart, 4 hour chart, doesn't matter the time frame, it automatically calculates the relevant support and resistance levels on any time frame in which I choose to trade. Now, we said about support and resistance. Okay, the software calculates it automatically. Now let's look at trend direction. How does this software determine what direction the trend is in? As illustrated again on this chart, looking at a monthly, it's simply looking at what we call the trend momentum indicator. It's either pointing up, it's pointing down, and when it's pointing down, price moves lower. When it's pointing up and moving higher, price moves higher. When it's pointing down, you get the rhythm, and moving lower, price moves lower. When it's pointing up, it moves up. When it's pointing down, and most recently the euro has taken a very nice drop of 1,000 plus pips, almost 2,000 pips, as it went lower during this latest monthly turning over, headed lower. So not only will we take into consideration trend direction, but we want to use the price action indicator, the PAI, and we line them both up. So there's the key. We want to know the support and resistance levels calculated for you. You want to know the direction of the trend. So as I then go from there, next up is, hey, I need to utilize and align multiple time frames. So I understand it's important to know support and resistance, and it's important to know the direction. But as many of you will know, that a trend is depending on what time frame I'm looking at. Are we talking the immediate trend, the day trend, the week trend, the monthly trend, the annual trend? Different time frames will give you different direction. So that's why it's imperative we align those time frames together. Watch what happens when the software aligns the multiple time frames. Here's oil. As we go through on oil from a monthly perspective, we have oil topping and rolling and starting to head lower, both on the trend momentum and the PAI. I refer to the trend momentum as TM. The price action indicator is PAI. Notice the monthly's turning over, the weekly's turning over, and the daily is turning over. All aligning at the same time, multiple time frames. This set forth oil moving down from the 107 handle down to $43 before it started to bounce most recently. And why is black gold, as I like to call Texas Tea Beverly Hillbillies, why is oil starting to bounce lately? Because the monthly is starting to turn and our weekly is starting to turn. So again, we're aligning the time frame. So whether again it's the oil, stocks, commodities, futures, forex, doesn't matter the market, the principle is the same. Here we have the pound dollar, a currency pair. It's in the process of topping and reversing during aligning of time frames. Well, we're going to talk a lot about these little triggers. Well, it's important that I align the time frames, but is there a way to automate that system? Can I automate the aligning of multiple time frames? That's where this trigger system comes into play. When the time frames align on a particular specific time frame, like here the 4 hour, you'll get different types of triggers telling me not only is the 4 hour ready to top and roll, but because it's a large one, it means my daily was ready to top and roll. And this is during a nice pullback on the pound, as it was in the process of moving higher, since the weekly's moving up and the monthly's moving up. But this shows you that the time frames, when they align, you get automated triggers to tell you that the time frames are aligning. Here's another one for the trigger back long, as it then moved back towards the upside in the direction of the higher trend. So beyond automating this, as you can see, we also have take profit triggers. As we're in trades, we start to give you signs of, hey, you should be peeling off some of your profit because we're about to get a turnover in the opposite direction. Those are called take profit triggers. All right, support and resistance automatically calculated. Easy snap and easy to tell what direction the trend is based on the time frame. I simply look at the direction of the trend momentum and the PAI. When I align the multiple time frames, I don't care what market you're talking about, this is when the bigger moves occur and the more substantial moves occur. So now we're up to, hey, how do we start to understand the cycling of time frames? That's part of the slice of heaven and many other components we're about to review, but I wanted to briefly touch base as we move into the aligning and understanding the cycling time frames. And we call this and I'm going to show you this in just a minute, a slingshot phenomenon. So I just wanted to give you a brief summary. This software is absolutely driven and focused on providing an actual, complete, comprehensive trading program. The software, the live trading classes, and the trade alerts. I went on beyond just meeting this goal to not just stop and achieve my goal of creating the pinnacle trading program. I went on to develop not only the software, I tie that into the classes and the alerts and combine it as a master trader program. We have truly revolutionized the world of trading, to put it mildly. As one of the key components which we base our teachings and software on is known as the slingshot methodology. Slingshot methodology is so unique, and we're going to review it now, that I wanted to call your attention to it prior to showing exactly what a slingshot is. Quite frankly, this strategy has the potential to change your life as a trader forever. It is the wow and the aha moment you have been dreaming of. Now, with that being said, we only have a little time to slightly touch on the intriguing slingshot strategy during today's presentation. However, we covered in great detail in our live trading classes, as well as within our vast members library of archived videos, how-to videos, and previous classes that are recorded. So again, following the line of progression has to do with what? You're in a long-term trend, because my monthly was topping and rolling, my weekly was topping and rolling, and this is another shot of oil. So again, just to remind you, we had the weekly turning over. We have a trigger to the downside saying that not only are my time frames in alignment, we're expecting a big move. My daily then agrees at this swing point high. You're right. Not only are you ready to go down, I'm turning over as well. So notice what the slingshot phenomenon is. You ever heard the term sell the rallies in a downtrend? Or buy the dips in an uptrend? Well, this is looking at my monthly headed down, PAI, trend momentum down, my weekly trend momentum, PAI, headed down. During the phase in which my daily cycles, it's eventually going to cycle against that move. It's going to happen sooner or later, it cycles. So when it cycles, we call that the retracement before the trend continuation. So what happens is this slingshot phenomenon, where the daily will depressurize, form this slingshot as it snaps back into the downward direction. And notice, while my weekly stays pointing down and my monthly stays pointing down, my daily will continue to slingshot lower and lower and lower and lower. As long as that weekly and monthly stays lower, it'll continue to do so. And each time the slingshot engages, that's an entry, and the software will pick that up. Again, here's the currency pair, pound dollar. Same principle. As of late, we're seeing the pound bounce, because why? We're starting to see the PAI starting to turn, and the pound is moving up nicely the last several days. And my weekly started to bottom and reverse. That's why it's moving up nicely. And along the same lines, my daily was bottoming and reversing. So what are we doing? We're following the line of progression by aligning the time frames, and notice what the 4 hours done. A minute ago, I showed you how the daily slingshotted lower and lower and lower against the weekly, moving lower on oil. Well, notice what the 4 hour does while my pound was moving higher on the daily, weekly, and monthly, starting to turn. The 4 hour, once it finally goes into overbought territory, yes, we get a move, but it does what? It slingshots higher and higher and higher as the daily continues to move into overbought territory in the direction of the weekly. Very simple. Circulating time frames, or the cycles of time frames, generate what we call the slingshot phenomenon. And based on what it's trying to accomplish will be determined in advance by the direction of the higher trend based on looking at the higher time frame. So when my daily's pointing up and I get a 4 hour slingshot to the upside, I know long before this 4-hour starts to form to engage, and it takes about 12 to 24 hours to form and engage, I know I'm buying this long before it happens because it's expected to slingshot higher and higher and higher as long as that daily points up. Pretty simple concept. Let's look at gold. Gold's in the same situation. We had a nice down move, and yes, gold's popping up today, but we'll notice how the time frames are shifting directions. And why? It's starting to move up because my daily starting to slingshot higher, my weekly starting to push higher, and the monthly is sitting there holding in this initial down move, so it's waiting for the lower time frames to cycle, but that's why gold is popping up today. And how do we know that would occurred? Very simply, we have the 4-hour when it started to top and roll. While we're in an early downtrend, what did the 4-hour do on gold? It slingshotted lower. Now that multiple time frames are reversing and we're getting triggers higher, my daily since then is starting to turn up. My 4-hour is expected to go up, and then eventually when it turns over, it should slingshot higher as long as this daily remains pointing up. Very simple. I just look both directions before I then trade accordingly. Now, what and how do we automate some of these key components? We call the MPA slingshot trade triggers. What in the world is that, Gary? MPA slingshot trade triggers are, again, this phenomenon when we see on the price action there's some separation and it does this little whip back or snap back. And again, how did I know the pound not only triggered higher, made hundreds of pips, but that when it pulled back, it was expected to slingshot even higher? Because again, look at the direction of the weekly. Pretty simply stated, not only does the weekly moving higher, but as my daily slingshot started to engage, we get a trigger on the 4-hour. So what does that mean here? As my time frames cycle, we get signs and symptoms of trend continuations. And in class, our students made hundreds of pips up, made 100 plus pips down, and about a 400 pip move lower. Then we went back to the long side and made several hundreds of more pips, simply following the line of progression and utilizing our slingshot trade triggers and the slingshot methodology and phenomenon. And again, how did I know in advance, ladies and gentlemen, that this 4-hour when it triggered higher designates when the daily slingshot is ready to go? And how did we know that this daily would turn and move higher? Because the whole time this daily started to turn over, the weekly was moving higher. Everybody type in yes, right? I simply see at this point, after hundreds of pip rally, the pound decides to come down and give us a nice little retracement. While it's retracing these several days, my weekly ignored it. Didn't flatten, didn't turn, just said, I'm not interested. So what happened? The daily is projected then to slingshot higher, and sure enough, that's what happens. So guess what the pound's ready for now as we go into today's price action? We're ready for another retracement. Well, again, if my daily starts to turn over, that's what this trigger is telling us. The pound's ready to start to move sideways to lower again. As my 4-hour starts to turn over, my daily starts to turn out. Is it going to affect the weekly this time? If the answer is no, and we get the daily coming down again, and it forms another slingshot during those down days, yes, we can scalp that and trade it to the downside. But as soon as it forms another one of these, the slingshots, we then go back to my 4-hour cycling back up, giving us a trigger. We go to the daily showing a snapback. And if the weekly stays pointing up, that's exactly what will happen well in advance. Totally awesome. Also, how do we automate these symbols? Check this scanner out. The scanner is very one of a kind, customizable, so I can tell it any symbol I want. The maximum is about 17 on this screen because the font gets too small for you to read it. But what does it provide for us? It instantly at a glance gives me the direction of all time frames, 1, 5, 15, 30, 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, weekly, monthly. All time frames at a glance. It will provide us with first the direction of the trend. What direction is the trend momentum headed? Is it up? Is it down? Is it lightly down, lightly up, or strongly up and down based on arrows pointing up, pointing 45 degrees, and obviously being dark green or light green will determine the strength of that trend. All that is covered automatically. Not only will it give us the direction of the trend at a glance, it will also tell us which one of these slingshots is on the horizon forming. And notice we have light pink and then a dark red. The difference in the light pink and the dark red is this is when it's forming, this is when it's engaging. And of course, you'll have light green when it's forming, and then dark green when it's truly engaging. So at a glance, not only do I know the direction of the trend per time frame, I know what time frames are forming and engaging in slingshots.
Very thorough.
Very thorough. We then go on to tell you what direction and which triggers have fired, whether it's a trigger higher, a trigger lower, on which time frame. How cool is that? So instantly we can look at the scanner, and again, it's customizable. So I could put a couple of stocks in here, I could put some futures, forex, whatever I'm interested in watching the trade. I can put those symbols in here, and lo and behold, I'll have a snapshot instantly. We also give you an ADR, average daily range. How much movement usually occurs in a daily time frame, an average daily range. And then it'll give you a percentage of how much is already moved at whatever point in time of that daily range, whether it's exceeded it or whether it still has more room to go. And then finally, it gives us this trade scenario. If I'm in a trade, the scanner will let me know that I'm in a short trade, or I'm in a long trade, or I'm in no trade, whether I'm short, long, or in zero trade. It'll automatically scan my time frames and tell me whether I'm in a trade or not. Well, that's just one of the scanners in this program. The other is called the Slice of Heaven Finder 2. This is your best friend along with the other scanner. Why? Because now I have the customizable availability to then tell the software, hey, I'm interested when my daily start to line up with my 4 hour and 1 hour. Well, if I'm a position trader, I might want to tell the scanner, I want to know when my monthly, weekly, and daily are now set up. So I can customize when and what time frames do I want to know the setups, and it automatically looks for triggers long, triggers short, slingshots engaging, whichever direction of the trend, and it tells you where in that cycle these other time frames are located. So basically, what are these two scanners doing for us? They're scanning the market for the next big trade that sets up. And again, this is totally customizable. I can tell it, and I'll show you in just a moment, how you can instantly change it from daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, to a monthly, weekly, daily, to a 15, 5, 1 minute, depending if I'm a scalper, day trader, position trader. So it fits any trading style. Also, we did the coup de grace here, and we put everything into our trade management system. The trade management system is so unique that first off, when I add it to my chart, it will blow your mind. It's color coded, so whenever I'm in a long trade, the text is green. If I'm in a short trade, the text is red. And the slingshot phenomenon is helpful when we're in long-term trends, but it could be an opportunity for us to maybe switch directions on a trade if the slingshot's engaging the wrong way. So it gives me a console right here to tell me what time frame the slingshots are forming and engaging on. So if I'm in a long position, I get a slingshot coming back against me, then I know to take profits, and I know to maybe even get out of the trade depending on what time frames are starting to shift against my trade that I'm currently in. But notice, you ever heard the term buy the dip in the uptrend? Well, this is that slingshot phenomenon, and this not only will manage your trade, but I can set it in advance to tell it to automatically buy the slingshots over and over, and over, right? So I just skipped a few of these. These are slingshots higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. I was just illustrating the different ones so I can physically tell this trade management system while I'm not even at my computer, hey, I want you to buy this next slingshot higher because this 4 hour is expected to continue to slingshot higher while my daily time frame's pointing up. or perhaps my weekly still pointing up. And that's exactly what we caught back when the euro odd was soaring to the upside. And we made over 1,142 pips, and we took profits along the way, scaled in multiple times. But this is one trade continually running for over 1,142 pips and counting. And I use it entry of the trade management system, and I allowed this to manage the trade the entire time. So again, if we're in a downtrend, how do we know we're in a downtrend? When my time frames start to top and roll. I can tell it to sell the rallies in a downtrend, buy the dips in an uptrend. I can specifically tell it to buy triggers lower, buy triggers higher. I can tell it whatever I want it to do. 100% customizable. All right, Gary, you showed some intriguing components. We have software that calculates support and resistance, gives us the direction of the trend, validates the strength of the trend based on aligning multiple time frames, goes further to give you a trigger system that gives you a visual aid to tell you when that time frame is ready to go long or short, but then gives you different types of triggers when multiple time frames align. We combine all of that information into a trade management system which will do it all for you, whether you're at your computer or not. And then lastly, trading results. What has this system done? How successful is it? Here's gold, up over $110 move on gold to the upside using this trade management system. And you'll notice there is a button in the upper corner of this room that allows you to go to full screen capability, so you can maximize the screen to see these more closely. This was over a $25,000 move on gold alone. Here's a gold to the downside. Notice the difference. In an uptrend, the trade management system is green when we're long. And on a downtrend, when we're short, the text is red. And this is part of managing a trade, simply using a trigger system and or slingshots as my entries and letting this system do the work for you. Here's a student that uses TradeStation, sent in this and said, Gary, I've been utilizing the MPAP2 software. I've been entering into multiple trades, and lo and behold, I got several winning trades running, and it's tallying over 8,600 pips. And he said, what I love about this is I simply use the software as it's intended to be used. I followed the rules. I let the time frames align, and I'm watching my profits soar. Well, because the higher time frames, like the monthly and the weekly, were involved, this system went on to calculate over 18,000, from 8,600 to over 18,311 pips and counting. And he went on to say that he's using the Slice of Heaven Finder to just set up these big trades, stay in them while the time frames continue to cycle and show signs and symptoms of trend continuation. And lo and behold, here's his TradeStation now. Same trades, just increased by a dramatic value, and upwards now you tally these together, and lo and behold, it's 18,311 pips. And this was not over years. This is a matter in about 4 to 5 months of trading, and that alone, one standard lot, that's $183,000 in only a few months. If you trade multiple standard lots, you get the point, or even mini lots, that's still $18,311. That's still substantial. Again, gold back to the upside, green, tallying, higher profits. Gold still going higher as we continue to soar. Now we're upwards again of that $120+ move.
Our students love to trade gold.
I have students from around the world, from 107 countries and counting. And what's unique about our students, ladies and gentlemen, is they haven't been with us for a month or two. They've been with us for multiple years. So here's a screenshot of multiple forex, gold, different types of trades in here, tallying multiple thousands of dollars on single standard lot trades, utilizing the system. So you say, well, Gary, I'm not a forex trader. I'm a stock trader. I'm an option trader. I trade E-minis. I don't care what you trade. This system is unique, and it'll benefit you. Here's one of our option traders. So I'm excited about my short position. I actually exited early and made 1,200. Then based on how the time frames are cycling, he re-entered that day for an additional 300. both using options, just aligning the time frames, following the line of progression. He said, if I'd have done this on my own, I'd have bailed on this trade a long time ago for a loss. He banked $1,500 just following the time frame alignment. Now he's looking at making a profit. Obviously he did. And if black gold comes through, he'll have the ability to pay for his subscription very quickly. Well, this individual started on a trial. He went and he bought an annual subscription within the first month, and he's been with us for a couple of years now. And he also signed up for my private mentoring.
He's done well.
And he's done exceptionally well. He went on to say, thanks for your hard work in developing the system. As price proves intentions, my ability to use the system improves. I'm going to drop my financial advisor in several newsletters. So he's able to take away additional cost here by doing it himself, and he went ahead and applied for a forex account added to his thinkorswim accounts. Once again, more time. I can't wait to use, and the GPA and JFD, we're going to show you this platform in just a moment, and he's going to utilize that and tell his brokers in Australia and Switzerland when to buy and when to sell based on the time frames aligning. So again, it doesn't matter the time frames in which you're trading or the markets in which you're trading, it'll fit your trading style. Now, would everyone please give me a yes when I go over to the charts and tell me that you can see my charts? All right. Can I get a yes from everyone? You can see the charts now? See the scanner? All right. So again, here's the live scanner, the one I showed you a picture of. Here it is live, and you'll notice it's ticking. The time frame is each tick, it'll move about every second or so. Once I get tick data, it scans through these symbols, giving me the latest and greatest of what slingshots are forming, what the direction of the trend is. So how do I use this? As the trend starts to flow and top over, we start to see the time frames flipping directions. And I can know whether I have slingshots forming and or engaging. And again, when the triggers are firing up or down. Percentage, trades running, etc. So this is customizable, and I just wanted to show you that it does run and it's live, and you'll notice as it changes color as it scans through the markets. The pound, we showed you this a minute ago. The pound is going through the roof. So during these live trading classes, what did I say in the beginning? I don't leave any stone unturned. We go through and we provide you with some Elliott wave analysis. We provide you with Fibonacci's, trend channels. We do it all. But it's all tied into how the software is moving. So here's that same example. How did I know during this move higher, we had the weekly starting to turn, we had the monthly PAI starting to turn, we had the daily turning up, moving from oversold towards overbought. But when this finally started to turn over, how did I know it was going to reverse and then go higher? Well, if you look at your Fibonacci's, and this is nothing new for many of you, I'm sure, we look for Fibonacci's to retrace into what we call the sweet spot, somewhere between a 38 and a 61.8. It'll retrace there more commonly and most often than any other retracement level. So during this process of retracing, how do I know it's not going to reverse at the 23? Or it's not going to reverse at the 50? Or as it goes down toward my 61.8, why would it reverse there? Because the slingshot is forming. Then when it turns and hooks up, it's engaging. How do I know that? As I showed you earlier on the live charts, how do we know it was going to do that? When you go to the 4 hour, you're going to have a green trigger right here as this daily starts engaging. So I'm going to draw my little line here, right? As we get the swing point low, my daily starts to turn up and engage. My 4 hour did what for us? It gave us a trigger to tell me, yes, my time frame is ending and it's reversing and my daily's ready to turn and go up. And I'm using my Fibonacci to say, okay, now it's ready. It moved down to a Fibonacci extension level into the retracement. When did I know it's going to turn? Based on the cycles of time frame. So notice this phenomenon. I don't care during the downtrend, the daily slingshot's lower and lower and lower and lower as my monthly and weekly head lower. Right? Go to the weekly. When was the weekly giving us a strong downtrend? When it started to top and roll and the pound went down a few thousand pips. And then once it forward to cycle, My daily would do what during that whole time? My daily, as I turn my auto scroll off, slingshots over and 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 over. Why did we get this big trend here? Notice the daily tried to slingshot lower here a few times and failed. What's the difference between here and here? Previously, my daily would slingshot lower and lower and lower and lower and lower, and all of a sudden, over here, it's the, oops, not going to happen, not going to happen, not going to happen, until finally it tops and rolls. Anybody want to guess what happened to the weekly? What's the weekly doing over here versus the weekly here? Look how cool this is. The difference is over to the left, the weekly still headed lower, having slingshotted, and to the right, where it started to fail, it was moving higher. Wow! So it's all I need to do is line up the time frames, use the trigger system, and then look both ways like I'm crossing a street. You don't want to look one way because the other side traffic might be coming against you. So when I drive, I look left and right at stop signs and throughways. Definitely make sure that left and right is clear. So when I trade and I'm going long, I need to have my lower time frames in agreement telling me to go long. That's good. But when I am going long, I need to understand while I'm going long, am I going with or against a higher time frame? If I'm going against it, then it's going to be a short-lived rally before then headed back lower in the higher time frame direction. So again, notice the difference. When the weekly over here is moving lower, we clearly see we're moving lower, 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 lower. Well, why did this weekly then start to depressurize, slingshot lower, depressurize, slingshot lower 3 times? Guess what's happening this whole time from top to bottom? My monthly is moving from overbought to oversold. So I can use the same analysis, same strategy on any time frame. Yes, my weekly will slingshot higher and higher when my monthly's pointing up. Notice over here, when the monthly was bottoming and reversing, weekly bottoming and reversing, the pound went up several thousand pips. And it did what? It went up till it finally made a major reversal, and in the interim it slingshot higher, 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 and higher. How could I have known this in advance? During these little pullbacks, how did I know it was going to do that? It's pretty simple. My monthly's headed higher. Right? Everybody type in yes? That's pretty simple. All I got to do is look. Unbelievable. Right? So far, so good. Now, we offer this software, and depending on the type of trader you are, we have different platforms available. And if you're a stock trader that likes to trade stocks and other things, in this platform there's well over 800 symbols, several hundred stocks, commodities, futures, forex, T-bills, you name it, something for everyone.
More than enough to keep you busy.
And this platform, different platform, it has a plethora of things to trade still, not quite as many, but it does offer some select stocks, some futures, commodities. It allows gold, oil, silver, Dow, S&P, several components that you may be interested in, and a nice mixture. So you have the option to use it in any MetaTrader platform. And the ones we recommend as far as for demo accounts, you can run as we're doing here on all of these different symbols in the same software we're running any MetaTrader. So Gary, I want to use this broker. If they offer MetaTrader, you can use it. Well, what if I have TradeStation as my broker where you place your trade live in your TradeStation like my other student has done, and you use the entry criteria based on the software right here? It's beautiful. And I've been trading this way for 10 plus years, and long before we had all these additions of triggers and automated trade management systems, I was simply watching the direction of the trend and going to my broker accounts, placing trades. I trade options, I trade futures, forex, e-minis, I traded the whole spectrum. And I use the same software and this platform to tell me when to buy and sell and when to take profits. All right, that seems intriguing, sounds good. What else are you providing for this Master Trader program? What exactly is the Master Trader program? As I mentioned earlier, it consists of the market price anticipator software. We briefly touched on it. And also, I didn't give you a chance to see this. Let me do this before we go on. This is the Slice of Heaven Finder I showed you a screenshot of. Just one second, I'll pull that up. And this is a Slice of Heaven Finder currently scanning the markets. And within that platform of 800 plus symbols, it'll cycle through all symbols located within that platform. And here it is live. So what did I mention? How do I change from a daily, 4 hour, 1 hour? Very simple. I simply right key click on my Slice of Heaven Finder and go, you know what? I want to trade the higher time frame. I want to know when my monthly, weekly, and dailies are aligned so I can do option trading. Or if I want to do weekly options, I want to make sure I get the weekly direction and I follow the daily in the direction of the weekly and I catch the 4 hour. So I can simply just say, okay, I want to do the weekly, change it, say okay. Once I get tick data, you'll see this goes to weekly, daily, 4 hour. 100% customizable.
That's rare.
And it is extremely rare to find this type of software that is so 100% customized. So everybody type in yes. Notice it's now going to scan these currency pairs, stocks, futures, commodities, whatever I want it to scan. It will now scan based on a weekly, daily, and 4 hour setups. Ideal for weekly option traders, ideal for long-term traders, investment traders, no matter what market you're trading. All right, back to our slideshow. So again, what is this Master Trader program? Includes the software, includes live trade classes, and includes a trade alert service. The trifecta, the holy grail, all three components. Well, what exactly does the software consist of? Consists of the market scanner we showed you, consists of the Slice of Heaven Finder I just showed you, right? Setting the different time frames, monthly, weekly, daily, etc. It consists of the phenomenal MPA slingshot trade triggers. Those are the little trade triggers to get in, go long, go short, and the slingshot phenomenon. It includes the trade management system. And what does that look like? We showed you a screenshot. Well, here it is, actively monitoring a trade.
It's not showing it right now.
Actively monitoring a trade here on gold, right? Monitoring a trade as we're moving right now, and it tick for tick, so I can move my stop loss back up further into profit. As you see here, I was in a trade and I moved it deeper and deeper into profit, and if it reverses and gives me another sell signal, we're expecting gold is going to give another reversal coming soon because my time frames are getting in towards overbought territory. So if I get pipped out, I'll just re-enter when it's time to go short, banking profits all along the way. I can set my take profits in advance to a certain level. I can use on-screen programming, so if I want to move a take profit level, move it up higher, I simply click and drag on-screen programming and tell it now it's going to go higher, so I want to take profits further up. Or it's going to go lower, and then I can move it down to whatever level I select and allow it to do it. So that's live action of the trade management system. We haven't touched on today, but it includes the Platinum Asia scalping system. It's specifically formulated for scalpers, and its ideal time to trade is during the Asia session when the markets aren't quite so volatile. You can get in nice positions and make a handful of pips and get out. And the system's set up for scalping. We also came up with a triple P scalping system I can use in any market, anytime, whether it's short-term, long-term, scalping. I can use the same system for very brief scalping to long-term scalping. When I scalp for 300 and 400 pips. What did that man just say? When I scalp for several hundred pips. An example of that was this pound-dollar retracement. We got triggers going short, even though we're in this uptrend, weekly higher, monthly higher. My daily went to overbought territory, started to turn. My 4-hour triggers lower, about a 400 pip retracement. So based on my daily turning over, I scalp to the downside several hundred pips to then reverse and go back long and scale into the ultimate long position. Again, it's just cycling time frames, triggers, slingshots, and that's automated to where the scanner will tell me what to go to the chart and look at. And then finally, I could set the trade management system, even if I'm not there, to say, okay, I know you're going to slingshot higher. I know it long in advance because my weekly's still pointing up. And as my daily starts to turn over, the weekly said, I'm not having anything to do with it. I'm going higher. I'm not turning over as I've done in the past. This time I'm staying up. So then I know automatically it's going to reverse and slingshot higher. So I tell the trade manager, hey, buy the next slingshot higher. And whether it takes 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, it'll buy it when it starts to engage and triggers. How cool is that? So that's part of the software that you're seeing a little bit more in depth. And a 2 you haven't seen, that'll be surprises for you when you sign up. Now, top 10 reasons I should use the MPAP2 software. This is a review of what we touched on, and in honor of David Letterman retiring after 30 years of service. Talk show host. It calculates support and resistance levels. It identifies the trend of each time frame. It monitors and tracks the time frame cycles as they cycle up and down. I'm going to go back to the charts again just to show you one other thing. Have you ever noticed in the midst of the strongest trends, price tends to stair step? No matter if it's down, up, sideways, it tends to stair step because of cycling time frames. And no matter what market, options, futures, forex, no matter what market you're looking and trading in, it's still going to result in cycling time frames. So it's simple. When I get a trigger to go long and I have lower time frames in agreement, the only thing that could possibly go against me is the higher time, me trading against the higher time frame. So it would tell me to get in and get out quickly. Well, why did this not make a new low and went on to make another high? Because it's expected to fail here, not make a lower low, when the weekly's turning up. But then when the weekly turns back over, my daily is expected to make lower lows and lower lows, as it did over and over and over and over and over. So once I'm in a trade, I look left. Yep, my time frames are good. I'm in it. How long do I stay? Do I stay for a day? Do I stay for a few hours, a few minutes? Check your cycles. And where I catch the cycle dictates whether I'm in it for a few days, few hours, few weeks, simply following the cycles. All right. Provides consistent entries, exit, take profit levels based on trade triggers, slingshots, and profit triggers. I can set that wonderful trade management system in advance and customize it with any criteria I select. Whether I want it to buy the dips in an uptrend, or I want it to sell the rallies in a downtrend, or when price is moving higher in lower time frames and I want it to sell when it triggers down, or I want it to buy when it triggers up. I tell it what to do, how to do it, when to do it. I can set it in advance. Well, what if I'm at my chart, ladies and gentlemen? Hey, I got my time frames in line. I got everything I need, my support and resistance. I'm bouncing off of support. My lower time frames are triggering higher. I'm ready to get in right now. I simply select it until I get in and buy right now or sell right now. And then it'll give me my entries and take profit levels along the way. And again, I showed you it's customizable. It's on-screen program. So if I set my take profits at 20 pips, 50 pips, and 100, and lo and behold, my daily's turning up, my weekly's up, I might say, well, I'm going to move that 20 pips to 50. I'm going to move the 50 one up to 100. I'll move the 100 to 500. I can do it on screen and just simply click and drag that line. It fits any trading style. Again, I don't care if you're scalper, day trader, position trader. The same signs and symptoms of cycling time frames are identical in any financial market and any time frame. They're always the same. The dual scanners, we're scanning the market for the next big trade. I want to know in advance when they're setting up so I can participate and take advantage of it. It works on over 800 symbols, including stocks, forex, futures, ETFs, commodities, bonds, you name it. Something for everyone. And then the top number 10 is It consistently delivers low risk, high reward, high probability trades. I know you've heard that term before, but how do we know this is true? Because when the time frames align, it gives me very low risk, because price is going to move higher when they're all bottoming, moving up, and price is going to move down when they're all topping and rolling. It gives me high reward by aligning those time frames, and because I'm taking the time and following the rules, aligning those time frames, it gives me very high probability trades. Now, what are we offering today? Please use the special link. Trish, would you post this link? And what we're offering is a trial membership to the entire Master Trader monthly program. You're a new audience, so we're going to offer a trial, and we're going to give you a complete 1 month for $97. That will include the software, all components, the classes. We meet 3 times a week, and we average about 2+ hours per class, somewhere between 6 to 8 hours of live class instruction. And you also receive trade alerts during the week. When we got some nice setups, I send those out. What happens after the first month? Well, it goes to $3.99 a month. You think $3.99 a month is a bargain? I know alert services more than that. I know people that charge more than that for a class, and no one has this cool software anywhere. And combine all 3, it's priceless for only $3.99. And our students are paying for annual subscriptions in the first few months, first few weeks, first few trades. And that's what we're most proud of. 90+% of all of my students from 107 countries around the world have been with me for years. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, but 5 and 6 years and counting. Because the software works. The classes we set up, it's amazing. All I do every day in class is set up trades for us. And I tell you in advance, and analyze the markets and tell you in advance, like I was telling the student, hey, we're expecting a Fibonacci retracement here, but as soon as this daily engages, whether it's today or tomorrow, you're going to buy that and expect to see a new higher high. And not only do we tell you expect new higher highs, but you'll go to our little trade alert scenario, and we give you actual targets, right? Here was target 1. We're working on climbing higher to target 2, but we reached our target zone, and we're moving and expecting a little correction and then another move higher. But before I start to say, well, this is up, move is over, we need the daily to change directions. We're starting to see that principle. My 4 hour is starting to show early signs of turning, and my daily is starting to flatten out. So those of you that watch the pound dollar, watch in the coming days as we start to see price pattern reversals. Anybody trade candlesticks out there? When you get confirmation of multiple time frames, whether you got a bullish candlestick pattern or a bearish candlestick pattern, it brings it to a whole new level by following the multiple time frames. And we gladly made hundreds of pips on this latest move based on this engaging higher. And we told everyone in advance. Your next question is, well, Gary, what if I can't meet at the time in which you're having live class? They're archived for your viewing pleasure. Will it do me any good if I can't see it till hours later or a day later? Sure, because we're telling you in advance, we're expecting this daily to come down to this target zone. Then we're going to expect it to go up towards this extension zone as my daily engages higher. We give you all those targets. And we tell you exactly, paint the picture. Actually paint the software, the Picasso, as this would form and start engaging. We tell you what to look for and what trades to follow. So if you just take my suggestion on trades in class, you're going to do very successful. But you'll learn the methods in which you can trade anytime, day, night, weekend, whenever the markets are open, and follow the same line of progression, cycling time frame, and use the same technique, whether I'm a position trader and I'm waiting for the big setups, or I'm a day trader, I'm doing the smaller day 4 hour time frame, or I'm a scalper and I'm fishing down here in the lower time frame. And a reason I want to call your attention to that, notice what happens when you're in a strong trend. My lower time frames will start to top and slingshot higher and higher and higher because the lower time frames are moving higher. What does the 1 hour do on the pound? My 4-hour was moving up. My daily was engaging up. So what does the 1-hour do? It slingshots higher and higher and higher and higher over and over and over. And what does that do in the lower time frame? That's because my lower time frames are cycling, going back up, cycling, going back up, cycling, going back up. Part of that correction. And that's all I need to do. Well, do I need to look at every time frame? No, because you can briefly do it. It takes seconds. What direction is the trend? It takes seconds to tell you. But that's where this automated trade system and trigger system comes into play to tell you when we have multiple time frames aligning and when we don't. Right? When do we have multiple time frames aligning and when do we don't? And when is it time to enter and when is it time to take profits? So I promised I would amaze you based on the simple process of following very specific rules. It's a very simple trading system. All I got to do is look for direction. I got to find my support and resistance. All those things are calculated for you. And then you have a trigger system that differentiates the two. So after that, it goes to $3.99 a month. For those of you, like 90+% of our membership, want to extend beyond a month-to-month contract, we offer substantially reduced subscription rates for annual subscribers. And you'll be amazed at how low that price is. Just simply send an email to support@gpatrading.com if you're interested in the annual. And how do I get this? I simply use this link right here. www.gpatrading.com/GPA trial. And Trish just posted. Over in your chat dialog, it's a hyperlink, so you can click on and go immediately to this link to sign up for this program. There are only 50 spots. I take my time with new students. I bring on new students in a slow, methodical method so that I bring everyone up to speed as we continue to join and enjoy that journey of learning how to properly trade with a proper trading mindset, utilizing the most outstanding software you've ever seen. And again, we want to thank you for attending the webinar. We look forward to you joining us.
Welcome our new members already.
We have several people signing up as we speak. Thank you for signing up. We're seeing those memberships go through. And here's our MPA PE2 software motto. It empowers you to read and anticipate price in any financial market on time, in time, all the time. And again, here's just a brief little view of a world map that's on our website of the 107 countries and counting. And if you're from a different country, and when you join us, you'll notice your flag will appear on this map. So what do I do when I subscribe? What does that bring me to, and how do I do this? As soon as I subscribe, I'm going to get a username, part of the registration process. And as soon as I make my payment to sign up for the subscription, I'm going to get an auto email with the password to get into the system. Once I sign up, I get my email. I have my username and password. I simply go to our website, click on the members area. All right, so everybody good so far? I signed up. I received my email with my username and password. How do I get in and enjoy the system? I simply click on the member login. Once I click on the member login, it's going to ask you for your username and password. Once I put in my username and password, I simply just log in. And once I actually enter this program, I then see my membership, whichever one I signed up for, an annual, a monthly, whatever it may be, in your case, a trial. I then have access to the class schedule. Click on the hyperlink class schedule, and it shows you, here are the classes, the link, and the passwords to get in. When they meet, what time they meet.
Somebody wants to know, how do you trade stocks on the MT4 platform?
The same way, I'll show you in just a minute. So archives, for all the class archives, I click on class archives. And there are literally hundreds of archives in here going back years. Each one's designated to tell you what the topic was.
We're very thorough.
Very thorough. You've never seen anything like this. Then how do I get started? Here's the two different brokers. I can download the one that has the 800 plus symbols and all the stocks, or I can download the other one that's primarily forex but still offers stocks, futures, commodity, smaller numbers but still has a nice collection. And then of course, once I install the MetaTrader platform directly from this site, I then install the software. So someone asks, how do I trade stock? Well, if my broker account is with Thinkorswim, I set up the MetaTrader platform, I install the software, and when I get an entry criteria and it says buy Microsoft, buy Halliburton, whatever stock you may want to look at, Microsoft for example, notice what happened to Microsoft. Why did Microsoft go soaring several dollars? We got a monthly slingshot. Right?
There's literally hundreds of brokers that use MT4.
And there are literally hundreds of brokers that use MT4 platforms around the world, hundreds of them. And this software will work in any one.
So you're not limited.
And like I said, I trade through multiple brokers. I have 7 broker accounts. And I use the software from a symbol in here in this MetaTrader platform. And I place the corresponding option trade in my Thinkorswim or my Options Express account. If I'm trading E-minis, I place it in my broker account. If I'm trading gold, silver, whatever I'm trading, I place in my corresponding broker account. If I decide I want to use the software with MT4 and trade with an MT4, then I simply use the software and let the software trade it live for me. But this recommendation on our site is for demo accounts. And if you're not familiar with MetaTrader, it's the most commonly used platform in the world. And as I go over to this platform, most commonly used platform in the world, and it's free. No data feeds, no fees whatsoever. So I can use it to trade with. I can use it just for my entry and exit criteria and place my corresponding trade. Well, if I trade options, you're not going to trade options in your platform anyway. I'm simply going to go to my Options Express account and say, based on the time frames aligning, I expect Microsoft to go higher, back to where I was. Let's go to Microsoft again. Sorry, I clicked off of that. Microsoft expected to go higher. I got a slingshot engaging. Why do I have a slingshot engaging? Because my weekly's bottoming and it's triggering higher. And along with the trigger higher, I have what? I have a monthly slingshot up. So I can buy a call, even out of the money at the time, and get in very short period because I have a monthly, weekly, and daily all bottoming and reversing. Right? Well, what if I just trade forex? Well, you're set. Whether I use MetaTrader platform, MetaTrader 4 to trade live, or I use any platform to trade it. I simply use the same entry and exit criteria based on what's in front of me. All right? So again, how is this going to move forward as we continue with signing up? Well, once we sign up again, everything's at your disposal. And how do I set up the software? If you need instruction, there's how-to videos. If I want to learn about the software in general, there it is right there. I have educational videos. And as we just showed you a minute ago, each class is archived for your viewing pleasure. I just click on Class Archives. I click on the link to watch the class, which we held this morning, has already been posted. So I turn it on, here it is, and I can start listening to the class. And I can actually enlarge the screen. This is how cool it is. I can go to full screen and watch this in full screen capability. If I want to, and I just want to go to a certain portion of the class, I can forward to where I give you the next call on the euro. When it starts to slingshot, what my targets are as we're slingshotting higher. Or if I want to do gold, right, you can fast forward to where we talk about the pound or gold or whatever we covered, right? S&P, exactly what we're expecting the S&P to do and where it's expected to go and the simple rules to follow. And if I hear something, go, what did he just say? I can rewind it and start over. Or pause it, take notes. And again, I just simply double click and it goes back to regular size. Everything at your beck and call, ease of use. Okay. All right. Any questions we may answer, I'm going to get a sip of water. I'll turn it back over to my wife. And if you have any questions, we can answer for you.
Okay, thank you everyone. We had a great time with you today. We always enjoy presenting to a new audience and sharing our wonderful and amazing software and education. I know you have never seen anything like this. And you'll never see anything like our classes. Those of you that have joined us, you're going to have a lot of fun. Gary and I are fun people. We're very serious about what we do, but we do like to have a lot of fun, and we're engaging, and we have a lovely group that attend live, and then we have many that cannot attend live, and so they follow along with us via our class archives. But we've been doing this for many years, and we've built up a lovely following that we call our trading family. And so you won't find another trading home like this. I can assure you of that. We're a rare breed in this world of trading. So those of you that have joined us, great. We look forward to seeing you in our next class. But remember, if you cannot attend class, you have the archives at your fingertips. You can view those anytime you're available. And for those of you that have not joined us, we welcome you to do it. You will have the time of your life, and you'll learn a tremendous amount for your trial offer. Absolutely. The minute you walk in the door, you will have reaped your $97 without a doubt. What type of computer do you use? Any PC. We recommend you use Windows 7 or later. Any other computer information?
Peter's question. And Peter, you asked, how do we trade the stocks in MT4? Depending on where you are in the United States or outside the United States, brokers outside the United States allow you to trade stocks directly in the platform. So for example, whether I want to trade the US, in this case the S&P, I can trade directly in the platform. I can trade treasury bonds directly in the platform. I can trade IBM and multiple stocks. Again, that's all of this list. And for those of you that are interested from around the world, they actually have accumulation of stocks as I go File, New Chart. So as we go File, New Chart, you'll notice there's Canadian stocks, Russian stocks, Chinese stocks, other futures, bond futures, European stocks, several of those, US stocks, Australian stocks. There's a whole accumulation of a variety of things in here for your viewing pleasure. And again, if you're outside the United States, you could trade directly with brokers on this platform. So if I want to buy IBM or I want to sell IBM, I simply just buy or sell it based on the time frame aligning. Well, just looking at a brief review, our monthly is starting to turn up, and it's triggering higher. So it's been on the way up since this correction. My weekly is starting to reach overbought territory, which means IBM is ready for a little retracement that is unfolding. And we simply do a little Fibonacci retracement and expect once my daily cycles back with the direction of my weekly stays pointing up, then I'm going to buy that daily slingshot when it engages toward the upside and just let the time frame cycle. But Peter, if you're outside the United States, many brokers, there are hundreds outside the United States as well, that offer MT4, and if it's in here, you can trade it live.
Joyce says, what type of internet do you need? And she was asking about the computer as well.
You certainly need better than dial-up. You need a DSL. There are many, we have students from all over in a variety. I actually trade on my wireless card from Verizon. When I'm traveling, I trade utilizing the platform on my laptop, and I use my Verizon wireless card to trade with. So as long as you're getting a decent connection other than dial-up speed, you're fine. Hopefully that answered.
Yes, FXCM, we have lots of
FXCM, constant. That's one of my brokers as well as many of our students' brokers. Yep. Any MT4 broker, the software will run in. Doesn't matter where they're located, who they are. If they offer the MT4 platform, the software will run. The difference is in the US, they don't allow stock trading, but that doesn't affect us. We can use this demo here, pull up a stock, and then go to my Thinkorswim account to buy IBM or sell it, or whatever stock that's in here. And again, the US stocks are substantial. They start the green color, and there are pretty much a few hundred stocks in here, a very popular stock. Does it have every stock under the world? No.
Who needs it?
You don't need it. You can make a living
our
off of
students-
simply trading one forex
Our
pair.
students are thrilled and over the moon just trading gold.
Right, just trading gold and oil.
They love it.
They love it. And many will trade forex. And yes, you can trade any symbol with the same rules and regulations that appear. IBM, back when we got a trigger long, yeah, we got a little pullback, but notice it was a warning shot. Hey, you're in a long position, you better be taking profits because we're about to get a retracement. Why did this slingshot here fail where the previous one went to a lower low? Right? Why? Because at the time when my weekly started engaging down, what happened? My monthly was turning up and triggering higher. So I know right there, Peter, I know that if I'm taking that initial long phase, and yes, I'm getting a warning, uh-oh, my long trade is going to take a little beating, I can close, whether I have multiple lots or in this case, several contracts, I can close them and trade the downside, or I can close it, wait for the downside to finish, and when it fails, then go back long. Why? Not just because I see price doing it, because this slingshot down is projected to fail and end up with a low, a high, and a higher low, because at the same time this is engaging against us, my monthly was turning up and triggering higher. Pretty simple. So again, whether I'm in the US and I can't trade through my MetaTrader 4 platform, the stock, I place the corresponding trade through Options Express, TD Ameritrade, whoever.
Jack says, do commissions play a role?
Do commissions play a role in forex? Is that a general question, Jack? Forex, depending on the type of account you have, there are no commissions. You simply pay the spread between the bid and the ask. Call that pips, price interest points. So if you're not familiar between the bid and the ask, there is no commission. There are higher scale accounts that you will get lower spreads and pay a small commission, or you pay no commission and a little larger spread, but it's very minimal. That's why many people prefer to trade the euro dollar. You're only talking a pip or two. So what does that mean? As soon as I place long, I'm 2 pips down, whatever the spread is, and then when it moves 2-3 pips, the 2 pips I'm break even, 0-0, and when it goes to 3 pips again, now I'm in profit. 4, 5, 6, everything thereafter is profit. So yes, there is a little fee involved, and forex is called the spread between the bid and the ask. So I know automatically, based on what pair I'm interested in trading, what the spread is. And most brokers, the euro dollar, the dollar Swiss, a few of those pairs are very tight, usually within 3 to 4 pips.
He says options or stocks.
Options or stocks depends on which broker you're placing it with. So if I'm going to use the software to tell me I need to be getting on the long side of IBM because my monthly and weekly are bottoming and heading higher, I'm expecting this to go higher for a few months. So you do an option play 6 months out, for example, because I have a monthly and a weekly, etc., joining forces. Then yes, I'll pay what my normal contract price is. So whatever that commission is, if it's $4.95 or whoever you're trading with, $9.95 for a contract, you pay that. Then of course, as the price moves in your favor, you take your contracts accordingly. And even though it's not forex, I still use multiple contract scenario. So as the time frames are pushing, I get my contracts to grow. When they start to get a subtle, I start to take some profits off, close a contract or two, let a little retracement occur as long as my time frames are still saying further up. That's why here, when IBM did take a little bounce down for a few dollars, yes, I knew it was coming because it started to form. I knew it was happening because by the time it started gauging down here, the outcome was we were not going to break a lower low. We'd end up with a higher high. But I knew this retracement was coming. Why? Because we had a sign and symptom on the weekly chart showing it's ready to turn over. And we had the daily turning over. We had the 4-hour turning over and triggering lower and telling us right there, there's a big trigger. That means not only is my lower time frame saying it's going to go short, my 4-hour saying it's going to go short, topping and rolling, but the large one means my daily's in agreement also. So yeah, we expected this to happen. So if I don't want to trade the downside, close it, potentially scalp it down, then buy it again, or close it, wait for the retracement to unfold, wait for my daily to cycle down to buy it, and wait for that weekly slingshot to fail. What does fail mean? It was engaging down and ended up with a low, a high, and a higher low, and it turns and hooks out. Why does it engage down from here to there, right? And price moves down for a few days, actually a week or so, as we move down, and then why all of a sudden did it turn back up? Notice what the daily's doing in between here. It's cycling from overbought to oversold, and as we get to the swing point low, what's happening? I'm going back from oversold back towards upside pressure, and lo and behold, my retracement's starting to tend back to the upside. That's why you'll never find anything like this, because it's simple. The strategy is simple. Everybody remember Leonard Nimoy that passed away recently? Any Star Trek fan? His big thing on the series was it's logical. Everything about the cycling time frames is logical. The goal is to cycle from oversold to overbought, overbought to oversold, and cycle. The only time it's interrupted is through this slingshot phenomenon. What are slingshot? It's the result of cycling time frames. So when my daily decides to slingshot back up, what happens down here? My 4-hour triggers longer. How cool is that? It's bottoming and reversing. That's why this daily, all of a sudden moving lower, 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 decides, okay, I'm going to turn and hook, I'm going to reverse and turn back to the upside. All right, so any other questions? As you can see,
you're very passionate.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm extremely passionate, and what do we do in class? You ask a question. I'm not like other classes where I'm looking at my watch to leave class. We always go well over the time allotted, and I leave the chat dialogue open the whole time. So you can ask a question, I can review it for you. And again, all I need to do is follow the instructions in class, because all we do in class is set up the next line of progression. And if you want to know stocks, futures, commodity, we'll review it and show you exactly what I should do in the next time frame as they cycle. What signs and symptoms am I looking for? So whether it's trigger higher, trigger lower, or slingshot phenomenon, it's simply based on the cycling time frames. And again, here's Microsoft. I could do it for any other of the hundreds of stocks, but the same principle. Why did the daily move up and all of a sudden slingshot back down to another lower low? Well, look at what the 4 hours doing. My 4 hours topping and rolling and slingshotting lower as well. And what's my weekly doing? My weekly at that point still is moving lower at the time. So that's why we would expect when this daily did, in fact, slingshot back down, it would be projected to make a new low. And that's where the support and resistance level comes in. Battle zones that we would look to take profits down here because it's a battle zone along the way. And what happens when we came down to that battle zone and touched it? Got a profit trigger. Jack, it will blow your mind when you start to analyze, what is this about? Well, not only is it the software cycling giving us warnings, but when we reach battle zones. Wow. So if I'm in an option trade on Microsoft and I'm moving lower and I get a reversal starting to, I know to take profits, and then I get a visual aid if I forget to. Because what? Starting to change direction. It's coming down to a battle zone. Former resistance turned support. Held to support even though it dipped below. Tested again and held. Got a trigger. Came down, tested again, got a trigger. How cool is that? On the way up, we start to get triggers here because what? We're back at this battle zone. So in closing, I want to again thank you for your time and attention. $97, no questions asked. If you decide after the 97 during that month it's not for you, simply send an email, cancel, no questions asked. You will not be billed. If during that month or after the 97 you decide to stay, it will go to $3.99 unless you call us and say, or send an email and you say, Gary, I'm so impressed and I'm having such success already with the system, I'm interested in your annual. Then simply send us an email. We'll provide you with a private link for that annual special. And that's what I promise you, 90+% of our students. So join us, and you can type in the classroom and say, how long have you guys been with Gary? And see how many years they type up. It's multiple. We do have some new students that we're bringing on, yes, but the overwhelming majority has been with me 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 years. And that's why. The software is always evolving, and I'm always coming up with new things. What does that mean? Like I showed you here, we didn't even get a chance to show you. Right there, the Platinum Asia scalping system. Have a template, everything ready for you. And the Triple P scalping system. These two will blow your mind by itself, much less all the others. And you don't try to learn everything in the minute second. The principle is easy. Cycling time frames provides me with signs and symptoms. It's like taking a car journey and driving across the country. And along the way, we get detours and construction, etc. along the way. Well, that's what the cycling time frames will do for us. We may be in an uptrend, but there are going to be times when that uptrend is coming against our long trade or against our short trade because of the cycle of time frame. Well, when they cycle, they exhibit very specific behavior. And if they exhibit this behavior, we buy the next slingshot higher. If we're in a downtrend, we sell the next slingshot lower. And we align the time frames before we enter, and we follow along. Very simple. So I can anticipate market conditions in advance before they happen. No matter what market you're trading, the system will advance it in advance. And along the way, can market conditions change? Yes. But while my daily, weekly, and monthly are pointing up, no way price is going down. And while my daily, weekly, and monthly are pointing down, no way price is going up. Right? It would have to turn in reverse direction before we see a substantial move. You might get a small retracement because my lower time frames are cycling. But as soon as they go back to the sell cycle, as my daily, weekly, monthly example are in, then I continue to scale in, sell, scale in, sell, scale in, sell, or buy dips, buy dips, buy dips. So again, I'll let you go. I appreciate your time and attention. When all else fails, remember that there truly is a software that can empower you, no matter who you are, whether you're an advanced trader or just learning to trade, to anticipate a novice, to read and anticipate price. You'll never hear me go, I predict. Everybody in the world and all the so-called gurus out there are always saying they predict everything. I leave that for the prophets. I anticipate. And I can anticipate with unbelievable accuracy by simply following the cycling time frames and looking for those signs and symptoms along the way. Join us. Take care. Y'all have a great day.